Hi, y'all. This is my first time using Crowdcast. So if you could let me know in the comments if you can see and hear me. Yay! Loud and clear. Oh, I'm so glad. I have my headphones on, and that probably even sounds better than when I just talked to my computer. I did order a light. I didn't order a microphone yet, though, so that's the next on my list. So if you could also, Sarah and Brooke, I see you guys are here. If you could just pop a note in the chat to let me know you can hear me. And hey, Sarah, okay, she can hear me. I'm sure that Rachel will be joining us very soon. And while we wait for her, I want to pull up my questions because I have so many questions for Racheal Cook. I mean, I always do, but definitely right now. Yay, Sarah, how are you doing? I see you. Good. We've got a bunch of people that registered for this event, which I think is pretty cool that you can do that through Crowdcast, which you couldn't really do through Zoom. So we're just trying different technology. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I just wanted to come in a little bit early. We're not going to get started until 1 o'clock, but hey. And there she is. All right, I'm just going to invite Rach on and we'll just chitty chat while people arrive. Let's see if that works. Ta-da-da. All right. Oh no.
Hello.
It worked. Oh my gosh. This is major for me, Rachel. You know I don't like technology, and this is a new technology that I figured I could practice on with you because you're such a pro. And
I've actually not used Crowdcast in like 4 years. So
really?
Yeah.
You're like a full-time Zoomer, or what do you
yeah.
full-time Zoomer?
Everything to Zoom.
Interesting. Do you use the webinar feature?
In Zoom, yeah.
Got it. Because I was trying to figure out how to get people, like when I'm interviewing someone, to have both of our faces on the screen. And I couldn't, for my life, figure out how to do it in Zoom, which is why we wanted to try this. So you can do it with webinar.
Yeah, you have to do it with webinar on Zoom. The only challenge with that is you can't really have an easy conversation with everybody who's watching.
Right, because you can't see them.
You can't see them. You just put them in a different chat. And if you're trying to stream somewhere, then that's even more complicated. So
yeah, interesting. Well, I'm excited to see how this goes. I like that I can see the chat and I can see everybody that's here. Of course, I wish I could see their faces, but that's okay.
So good.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Are we live now?
We are, yeah.
We are.
We're live,
okay.
And
I see people logging in.
Yeah,
Hi.
so like Megan is here. You know Megan, and Sarah and Brooke, and they said that they can hear us, so that's great. We have a bunch of people that are registered, so I'm assuming they'll be joining us at 1 or closely after. Yeah, I'm so excited to see you in real life.
In real life, virtually.
In real life, virtually. I know. Well, it's funny because like this is how we met.
I know.
On the internets. And
then here we are again.
You must be, do you feel like you're, and not to like officially start the interview, but just in general chit chat, do you feel like you're like in your element right now?
I mean, yeah, not much has changed for me.
Right.
In fact, what's been funny is a lot of people who thought that what I was doing and the way I was working was like some sort of weird like internet thing. Have been reaching out to me for consulting for how do I move everything online, because they were like, well, I thought I could only work in a face-to-face, you know, kind of old school format. And I was like, well, glad you're catching up.
You're like,
we've been here a while.
Welcome to the future. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I feel, I mean, you know me, like I love the in-person, right? Like I love to see other human beings in the flesh, and really resisted with like so much that I didn't want to be doing stuff online. But I find now, like, I'm so thankful that I like learned so much from you before I even started my business, that I don't feel as behind the curve figuring things out. Like, of course, I'm still figuring things out, but it's a good feeling to feel like, okay, like I can survive. It's Googleable, is that what you said?
It's all Googleable. It's all figure outable.
I know, it's so funny.
And it's so much easier. Like, all I've got to say is I started my business in 2008. This technology was not around.
Right.
I remember this was when GoTo meeting.
GoToMeeting, I remember GoToMeeting.
And it was like $200, $300 a month. Great. Everything was really, really expensive. And now I'm like, I think I might pay $15 a month for Zoom, and it's way better than what I had 10 years ago.
Right. Well,
so at least it happened now instead of.
Right. So I was speaking to this class at VCU, which for anyone that is here, hey, Michelle, anyone that's here that's in Richmond, you know, VCU is the local art school. And so I always feel like a grandma when I talk to them, because my first job was managing a remote team, which like now that's like everyone's a remote team. I had reps all over the state of Virginia. This is before cell phones. So I would leave a voicemail, and then my team would get to a payphone and listen to my voicemail in the morning to like get instructions or like updates or whatever from me. Like, it's so crazy to think like we've been doing this.
How times have changed.
I know. Cassandra's here. Hey. Yeah. Well, thank you all for those who have joined us. And just so people know, we are recording this. And Racheal, I haven't even updated you, but we're going to be opening the doors for a Rebelle online home here in a couple weeks. And so this recording will be there for anyone that wasn't able to make it to this session today. Okay, so I'm gonna dive in, and obviously people join and feel free to pop questions or comments or whatever in the chat. Like, we'd love to see it and want to see you. Can see you, can't hear you. Yes, Cassandra, this is going to be recorded, but also you might just try refreshing your browser. I know that worked for me when I was on a crowdcast in another group. So try hitting the refresh. Okay, so Racheal, for anyone that doesn't know who you are, which I feel like that can't be anyone on this call, but just in case, do you want to do kind of a quick intro to you and your business?
Sure. So I am Racheal Cook. I'm a business growth strategist and the founder of the CEO Collective, where we help women entrepreneurs start and scale their businesses. And what else did you want me to answer? I don't know. I've known this woman for how many years now?
It's been years. It's been like 4 years. Is that weird?
I think it's been more than 4 years. I think it's been
maybe more, right? Yeah, because my child is almost 6. Yeah, so 6 years.
I think it was like right after you had your first little guy. And
he's right now playing dinosaur video games on my phone because I'm a really great parent.
Because that's what we're doing right now. I literally just recorded a video to go out later, and my son was on the sofa playing something. I don't even know, but that's.
I love it.
What's happening?
Correct. Well, and I will share, I discovered you when I was transitioning out of my first brick and mortar business. So I was trying to figure out, okay, I've been a business owner. I understand how it works, but I did this totally the wrong way. I was super burnt out, even though we were profitable, and I was looking for another way. So I did your original OG online course. And then I've essentially just like followed you and I think that's what happens. People discover you and then they just keep following you as you evolve your business. Yeah. You're also educating others on how to do the same, which is amazing. I feel like I'm just like lucky that you're also in my town, and that was just like fate or the universe or
totally
like that.
Totally was.
So I don't even like to say the word. I'm calling it the C word, which I think maybe people think is a different bad word that you're not supposed to say. But I just want to like jump right in. Like, is the C word affecting your operations at all? Or are you kind of above the fray?
We are not above anything, that is for sure. Like this whole situation is sending shockwaves through the small business community. Let's just start there. And I've actually been watching and waiting for it to get here for a few months. So I just didn't know what the timeline was going to be or what was going to exactly happen with it. So my business, because I do consulting and coaching and mentorship for women entrepreneurs across lots of different types of businesses, one of the advantages I have is I do have some people who are delivering physical products. And I had a conversation with one of my clients in early February. In fact, I have a screenshot of it that ended up in a post that I shared right before it hit this whole thing, before it hit the US. And it was like February 5th. And she was saying, my manufacturer in China is shut down right now because of this virus. I'm sending them masks because they can't buy them there. And so, of course, me being a nerd and wanting to know all the information, I start researching, okay, what's going on? Because this was not the first client I've had who said, I can't get supplies right now, or, something's happening right now. So I started looking ahead, and I think, one, this is why we've all just got to be educated and informed about like what's going on in the world. I know sometimes the news can be depressing, but I'm a big fan of reading like world business publications, because what happens in one sector could impact other sectors. You've just got to know what's going on. So we kind of knew it was happening. We were coaching them through things like supply chains and how to find new manufacturing if you can't get what you need. But by the time it hit us, the biggest thing was I remember it was like March 10th, we started really seeing that they were going to start shutting down things in the US. And it was starting to hit, Portland. It was starting to hit San Francisco. And I think it's easy to feel like it's not going to impact us very much. But I was starting to get worried about my clients flying in for the CEO retreat, and not that they would, honestly, it didn't even occur to me how sick everybody could potentially get. What occurred to me is they're shutting down travel. And what if I have this client coming in from the UK or this client coming in from Canada, and then they can't go home? That was my first worry. And so I was like, I couldn't host this event feeling responsible for like, what if they get stuck somewhere, because then they'd be quarantined for 2 weeks somewhere.
Yeah.
And so that was the first big thing, was we had to make the call, and we literally made the call within 24 hours. At first we were like, well, if you just want to switch your ticket from in-person to virtual, you can move your ticket. There's the cat. But then a day later we were like, no, we can't in good conscience just wait and see when we can see what's happening in places that are already a few weeks ahead of us. I was like, we're just going to make it all virtual.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like your clients, if they're anything like me, are like super fans. So like they would brave it. Like they would still come and get quarantined for 2 weeks, because it's like they have to like get their fix of this planning and,
maybe
strategic planning.
I will say, this is where being a leader is, it's hard being a leader sometimes, because sometimes you've got to have enough foresight and make the hard call before other people will really understand what's happening. And that's what happened. Like, we made the call and decided we were going to make it virtual. And some people, like, we got a couple emails like, oh, I wouldn't have signed up if it was just going to be virtual. Oh, like a lot of people were not understanding the situation yet. And we knew that. So we were like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. We understand. We're still shipping you stuff right now so that we can do this. And you can choose next week whether or not you want to attend virtually, or you just want to push it until another date. And this is what I've been navigating, honestly, for me, because of what I do. The last 4 weeks, really, I have been in triage mode with so many of my clients. Like, here's how you pick up the phone and call your landlord and ask for rent forbearance. Here's how you pick up the phone and call your credit line and say, hey, I need to waive my payment this month. Here's how you get all your books together so that you can apply for the funding out there. And here's, we're interpreting daily. Like I'm on phone calls with my lawyer and my CPA. Like, what are they saying now about this thing? And what are they saying now about this? We've been triaging a lot of those things. Which is why I say, like, I'm not above the fray, because right now this is the time where for me, this is all hands on deck.
Right.
I have clients some who are like, they're going to be fine. Like they're sailing through this beautifully. Their industry will not be as impacted. But I have some clients who their industries are having to really make some quick pivots in order to make sure they don't run out of cash, make sure that they can keep going long enough to reopen in a few months. And
I would imagine so. I know historically a lot of your clients were in the like wellness and yoga space. So those people are definitely having a tough time. But now obviously much more diverse client base that you have. But right, some people are like in it and some people are okay. That's what's so bizarre about all of this.
Well, and all their situations are differently. One challenge we've seen for my clients who are like the yoga teachers, the Pilates teachers, the fitness, wellness, they're so used to being in person. Mm-hmm. And now there's been this flood of free happening online. Now you can take yoga from like anybody, right? Everybody's offering free. But the problem is when everything is free, nobody is able to get paid. Their clients don't value it. So our biggest challenge is, how do we make sure your clients continue paying you? And they don't go, well, why would I continue paying for a private yoga session when I can just take free yoga over here? And that's where we've really got to dig into what you provide isn't the yoga. You have to let go of like what you do. You have to really lean into what you really do and build those deeper connections with your clients. And that's what we've been leaning into. And I actually have a yoga studio right now in Indianapolis, and they have maintained 93% of their members because they were able to pivot on a dime and keep streaming to their members. And they said, you know what? We're going to figure this out. It's going to be absolutely imperfect. Right. But what their members kept saying is, we don't want the free. What we want is the ability to get on Zoom and see the faces of all the friends that we go to yoga with and have the 5-minute check-in before class. How are you guys doing? And that's why they are keeping their memberships, because they're like, I can still see my yoga friends and know that I have that community to lean into.
And I think that's such an interesting thing to say, because I agree. The businesses and the owners that I know, even that are in service-based businesses or doing brick and mortar things, if you already were community focused over audience focused, you're doing much better right now. Like, people still are feeling connected and want to support in a way that's different than like, just, I bought this thing one time and I'm not connected to that owner or those people, or it's just like a totally different thing. I mean, we've seen it with Rebelle. Like, I'm blown away at how many people show up to our online stuff, and we get emails from people all the time that haven't come to anything, and they're like, honestly, like, just knowing that you're having something makes me feel good, even if I can't be at it myself. Like, I still feel like I'm part of something that's happening. And that's been like a really nice surprise, I think, for us to, we realize that everyone's dealing with their own crisis and their own challenges. So it feels good to stay connected in that way.
Absolutely. This is where you're seeing the values of business owners playing out. And a great example of this is the difference between how Home Depot is handling this and how Lowe's is handling this. Two direct competitors. If you want to go check out and see values in action and leadership in action, Home Depot decided they're going to close stores early so that they can completely disinfect. They were going to send home thermometers with all of their employees. They're going to do they're not running sales right now. During spring, they're not running any sales because they don't want to increase traffic. They realize they're only open because they're considered essential. Meanwhile, Lowe's is over here running sales, doing all sorts of things, not really leading with integrity, in my opinion. This is where we see the difference between how those values play out and how people value people over profit. And it is a thing. And I'm predicting right now, the leaders who are showing up and really showing their values, not just saying we value you as a person, but actually showing their values, they're going to be the ones who keep moving ahead because they continue to show up and be of value. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I really do think already consumers were shifting towards more value-based purchasing.
Yeah.
And I think this is just going to expedite that. And there's only a few examples that are kind of the outliers, and Amazon is one of those. And so I would love to see someone come up with something that can put them in their place a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that's really, really a cool example. So one of the things that I noticed that you did right away is you basically, it was like week 1 after schools were closed, you were like, I'm going to host a virtual summit. And it was like legit, like a virtual conference. And here I am, I've been planning a conference for like a very long time. And I was like in full hibernation mode of like, I can't do anything. So I want you to talk about that a little bit, because I think of you as like a planner. So what was it to just like throw it together, or was it not? Like, I just need the behind the scenes.
The behind the scenes of it was, again, hold on, let me look at a calendar. I think March 10th was like a Tuesday. I can go day by day with this because I know what was happening. March 10th was a Tuesday.
Okay.
This was the day that I realized we needed to start making a call about our event that was supposed to happen on March 20th.
Got it.
So I'm obsessively reading news. This is where I go. When in doubt, Rach is going to research. Like, anybody who knows should not be surprised.
No.
I have subscriptions to all the things so that I can do the research. And I'm reaching out to, because I have clients around the world, I'm reaching out to clients who are in Europe and who are in the middle of it. I was reaching out to people across the country who were in Portland in the middle of it. I'm reaching out to them saying, hey, what's happening? And so they didn't call schools being closed until I think it was the 13th. We kept our kids home on the 11th. We were like, nope, we already see this is happening. We're going to stay home. So by the 13th, the hardest thing for me was making the call about an in-person event, realizing I'm probably going to lose money. Still have not received a refund for that, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
It's just what happens. Like, they're also in triage mode.
Totally.
But I was like, I need to prioritize my people. I'm probably not going to make this money back. But once I made the call, my brain space freed up. And I was like, what are my clients most worried about right now? And I started realizing the people who were already looking ahead were thinking, how am I going to move forward right now? Is this going to impact my sales? Is this going to impact my clients? Are my clients all going to refund? Are they all going to leave? Like, what am I going to do? And so I put together an Instagram post and I was like, here's the things you guys need to think about. And it was literally like, look at your bank statements. How much cash flow do you have? And this is the stuff no one wants to talk about right now. Everybody's talking about pivoting and marketing. And I'm like, forget that. We need to know numbers. We need data. I want to know how much money you have. What's your runway? What are your contract terms? How can we take care of your clients? Because when I'm thinking triage, I'm thinking clients first, then sales. How do we retain your money? Keep your money.
Write that down, people.
Right?
Clients for expensive.
I put that post out and people were like, this is helpful. Okay. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, this is all in my skill set. This is my wheelhouse. So I reached out on Friday to my team and I said, I have a crazy idea. What do you think about if I go live on Monday and help people come up with a quick plan, like a crisis plan? And my team was like, by the time they answered, I was already in it. And they were like, okay, Rach, let's do it. But really, it was really simple. All I did, I'm serious, I did not set up anything fancy for this. I set up Calendly, which is a scheduling tool that I have. And I set up Zoom. So I set up a Zoom webinar so I could get the link. I set up Calendly and I said on Monday, the 16th, I want times available in 30-minute increments, for people to pop on. And so that's the only 2 tools we used to set this up. Then I went and messaged people that I knew would have something helpful to say. And so I reached out to them personally and said, I'm pulling this together. I would like you to talk about XYZ. Are you able to jump on? And we had 12 people say yes in about 6 hours. And they just kept booking in my calendar. And all I did was I hosted it on Zoom webinar, and I streamed it to my Facebook page. And because it's Zoom webinar, when they come in, they're sitting in like a waiting room before they go live. So I was able to manage kind of like who was on the screen at the time. And I just asked them in the Calendly link, you know, what are the things you're most focused on for your clients right now? What do you think we should be thinking about right now? And it ended up being amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
People were talking to me about it. It's funny. People know that I'm your hype girl. So people give me compliments for things that you do. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
But I think something I want to highlight that you do really well. The reason this was pulled together so quickly and that I had such great people who are willing to say yes is I invest in my community. And to me, like, I'm not networking with the intention of just having a stack of business cards. I'm networking to know, like, what are you amazing at? How can I amplify your voice? How can we support each other? How can we collaborate? So it made it really easy.
That's the thing. I know. I've been experiencing this too. And like, people ask me sometimes to like give like sound bites on networking, which is just so hard to do because it's not a soundbite worthy topic. But right, investing in your relationships, you just never know when you got to call in favors. And that's been my experience. Like, we're literally booking our online events a week out. Yeah. But like, I know I can email people on a Thursday for next week and they're going to say yes. Like, it's nice when you have relationships with people that you can get yeses so much faster than if every time you need something, you're starting from scratch. And I've been really grateful for that too.
But I think this is, you do it really naturally. And I think a lot of people have a hard time looking at what you do naturally and thinking, how do you do that?
Is it because I'm an oversharer? Because I think that's like one of the things. Which I don't like recommend that people do that, but like, I think that is what I do.
No, it's because you follow up and you don't just meet someone once and that's it. You continue to build the relationship. So a great example is when I did this, I invited my friend Raven, who is an amazing business lawyer. And I know because I've been connected with her now for a few months, she happens to have a membership site for entrepreneurs and small business owners who need access to things like contracts and templated terms and conditions and things like that. So she's made a low price point for entrepreneurs product. It's a great fit for my audience because they might not have a lawyer on retainer.
Right.
And so because I've been in connection with her, I met her in November at an event. I followed up with her after that to learn more about what she did. I hired her to file my trademark for the CEO Collective.
Nice.
She gifted me her membership as part of filing the trademark with her. I started poking around. I'm like, wow, this is really good. And so I just care, right? Like I just keep following up, I'm messaging with her on Instagram. I'm checking in with her. And so when this came up, I was like, Raven, will you jump on with me on Monday? This is me asking her on a Friday. Will you jump on with me on Monday to talk about like what legal things you should be looking at for this? She's like, no problem.
Right. Well, another thing that you allude to there, and I do know that I do this and you do it really well too, is finding value to exchange. Because I would never be able to ask if I couldn't offer as well. And it doesn't always have to be like immediate, right? Like that's the point of building a relationship. Like you don't know when you're going to have something valuable to offer, but that's important when building relationships, that it's not always me asking or you asking. Like there has to be some sort of exchange to building any kind of relationship, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know what that's going to be right away.
Totally. Yeah. Who knew?
You just have to keep building. It's like putting a deposit into an account, right? You just keep putting that deposit in and know that you'll at some point get a connection or an introduction or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I love that. All right. Nikki Atwood, who I know you've met, she's a member of the Rebelle community here in Richmond. She has a question, and it is, how do you balance needing incoming revenue, so like really needing to run a sale, and being true to your values?
Okay. So one, this is why knowing your numbers is so, so important. So crucially important. And you need to know them all the time, not just when this is happening.
Yeah.
So one thing I would say is I want to get clarity, and I would encourage everybody to get clarity on your gap between what's already coming in and what you absolutely need. Now, I will say this is the time to trim the fat. If you haven't looked through your expenses, this is a great time to do that. I saved about $200 in random $5 and $10 subscriptions that I had that I forgot I had, because I just, you sign up for things and forget you sign up for them.
Yeah.
So it's just a good reminder to like go through, check and see, like, are there subscriptions you're not using? You might find that a lot of them, if you're not using them actively, you can pause them. Some places are doing extended offers right now. It's worth calling and asking for that help. This is a great time to do that. So you want to manage the expenses in addition to making revenue, because that's the fastest way to close the gap, is to spend less and make more, right? So manage your expenses. Yeah, spend less, make more. You'll close the gap faster. So just trim any unnecessary things. You might have some. The next thing is, like, do not feel bad about making an offer right now. Just don't. Amazon does not care right now. They are happily taking so much money. And I want you to think about that. Like, think about your buying behavior right now. There's a lot of people spending money on things. Yeah. One thing I will say is, as small business owners, it is impacting our emotional state very differently than maybe the general public. So we are all in this storm together, but there are a lot of people who it's like a little cute, sprinkle. It's like a little, let's go outside, play in the puddles, look for rainbows. It's a nice break from reality. There are a lot of those people. These are the people who are actively buying things like craft kits for their kids to do while they're at home. They're actively buying activities for them to do while they're at home because they are bored out of their mind. They're actively DIYing their homes right now because they have time. It's amazing. Like, I
saw your new bed frame. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, those are the people like my husband who have time to build a new bed frame, to be like, let's explore furniture making. Why not? I've always wanted to do this. But I'm hearing from a lot of my clients, they're like, people teaching knitting. Wow, I'm having all these people wanting to learn how to knit. It's crazy, right? So those are the people who this storm for them is like a little sprinkle. It's not economically impacting them. They're happily collecting their paycheck, working from home. They are fine. They are great to sell to right now. It's not impacting them a ton. Mm-hmm. Then there are people who it's kind of a thunderstorm. They're a little worried because layoffs and other things might be impacting them, but ultimately they'll probably be fine on the other side of this. Then there's the small business owners, and we are in like a Category 5 hurricane. Our roof is ripping off. We don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow, and every day the news is changing. So for us, this is a very different time to navigate than for a lot of other people. The good news is most of our clients are not us. Most of the people we sell to are actively looking for things. So my biggest advice when it comes to selling right now and making money right now is going to be pay attention to your audience. This is the time this is why I say all the time, I spy on my clients. I subscribe to everything. I friend them on Facebook. I follow them on Instagram because I want to see what their mindset is all the time. And because I'm tapping into what they're talking about and some of the conversations they're having, I can make sure that what I'm offering is super relevant and timely for them. So how can you be really relevant right now? How can you step in and fulfill the need that they have right now? It doesn't mean you need to run a flash sale. It does not mean that you need to run a flash sale. It might just mean you need to choose the offer from your, vault of things that you can do and make it super relevant.
Yeah. And for Nikki, I can absolutely see you falling into that category. I mean, what you're offering is services essentially for families, when you think about it. Nikki is the director at a mathnasium, which is like math tutoring and essentially education support for families, which people need that.
So the question then is, how can you take what you do really well and make it accessible right now? And it might mean you're doing it in an imperfect way. It might mean that you have to, if you had all the time and energy in the world, you might have made it a lot nicer. But right now is the time of being imperfect and just showing up and being helpful. So things I've purchased, if you're the director of a mathnasium, I'd love to know who else here has children at home. I have 3. Our principal actually walked into our house on the Monday after they closed schools with a packet full of papers and let us know that these are supposed to be graded. And I was almost like, at that point, I was about to lose it. I was like, you do not even know what we're up against. I am not worried about grading papers right now. This is not where we're going in this household. But I did purchase a program for my kids. I purchased an online engineering with Netflix for kids, which sounded fun and cool, and I thought would challenge them in a new way. I purchased a photography class for kids. They're taking online music lessons right now, because even though I have a degree in music performance, and so does my husband, they don't want to learn from us. So they're taking online lessons right now because these are the things that we're trying to do to keep our children entertained. So I feel like the way that those things are being delivered, is it perfect? No. But it doesn't have to be. It's serving the need, it's serving the client, which is us in this case. Yeah.
I'm going to read my comment. On March 11th, when our industry imploded, I had Racheal's words ringing in my ear, take imperfect action, and it worked. Oh my God, it totally worked for Megan. So I'll share this story since she can't in the chat. So Megan owns an audiovisual company. So they do sound and video production for conferences. So her events started getting postponed and canceled and moved around. And I know this about Megan, that she is a perfectionist because she works on our team, and she's literally the only reason that any email ever gets sent that doesn't have typos in it. And she just put out an offer to do live streaming and immediately got booked up, and like didn't wait for it to be perfect, didn't think about the perfect wording to craft it. Like it was just out there, and immediately she was able to essentially recoup some of the revenue that she absolutely would have lost if she didn't have something to offer those clients. So
I think that's brilliant.
It was awesome.
I have another client who is she's a coach for brick and mortar studio owners. And something that she offered that she just put out there and has been snapped up really quickly is she's calling it a Boss Up Voxer Day, because she knows most of her clients right now are trying to make phone calls that are very scary, that are like talking to landlords, talking to credit card companies or your business loan or your bank, talking to your accountant. And so she's like, I will actually be in your back pocket, literally on Voxer, to help you figure this out as you're having all these conversations. And it's become an offer that made her, like, within 30 minutes of announcing it, she made like $1,000. Like,
that's amazing.
That's not nothing, right? And it's about being, where can you be really useful and relevant right now?
Now I'm thinking, okay, can I offer like a hype woman Voxer service? If anyone's having a bad day, just like message me, and then I'll like tell you something amazing about yourself. This might be for the future. I don't know if I need to do it right now. But I will totally do that. I will do that for you, Megan, for free, because I just enjoy doing that for you. I love this. I mean, I have been really impressed, I would say too, with how some people have pivoted, right? Like with people that are just really like seem like they're in their element in crisis mode, which I know is a thing. Not this kind of crisis. I'm really good in acute crisis. Like I saved a baby from falling down the escalator once, because I like have like superhero ninja reflexes when it comes to like immediate danger. Yeah. But this kind of crisis, I don't know, this is like a little too extended for my like superhero mode to kick in. But some people have it. Like for sure some people have it. And that's what I thought when I saw your online summit. I was like, she just like kicked it in, which was cool to see.
Well, that conversation requires some wine and
for sure
cocktail hour. Yes, I have had a lifetime training in crisis management. But I will say, this is where look to people who've been through crisis, especially in business. I started my business in the middle of the recession, in the 2008-2009 recession. And at the time, I mean, my dad's an entrepreneur, my mom's an entrepreneur. I've also consulted businesses going through that. And I've watched my dad go through post 9/11, 2008, 2009. Like, I'm consulting with his business right now as we're trying to negotiate, like, do we need to lay people off? Do we wait on this paycheck protection thing? What do we do? I think learning from people who have been through it is one of the smartest things you can do right now, because the worst thing we can do as business owners is play wait and see. Wait and see will drain all of your cash reserves, will exhaust you because you're sitting there in decision fatigue, and will actually make it harder for you to get back up and running, because the business you have right now is the result of the work you did 3 months ago. So think about 3 months from now, what kind of business do you want to have? Do you want to get through this when they finally say, hey, you can actually go and see people? Do you want to have people who are waiting to work with you? Or do you want to have people who are stressed out and haven't heard from you for 3 months?
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep working from home forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
Which is so funny. Not my normal operating agreement. Normally I like to be out in the world, but it's been really nice to like not to shower every day. So, but I did today.
I did have to ask somebody to pick up some more dry hairspray for me, because I was like, I haven't washed my hair in a week and I don't know what to do about that.
No, I feel like you're managing this appropriately.
Life.
Okay. Okay. I want to let people have a sneak peek of your new offering, because I feel like really lucky that I like knew this was coming for a long time, because you had like a brainstorm one day and like flew in your team and have been working on this for a long time.
Yeah.
And now it's ready for the world to see. So I'd love for you to share more about what the actual offering is, the CEO Collective, and then like kind of a little bit of the behind the decision to pivot in this direction.
Yeah, so I have been a consultant for small businesses for 15 years now, running my own business for 12. And I initially, when I kind of launched my business, I did what a lot of you have done. I started one-on-one, and then I went into an online course. And I had an online course that Shannon took, and I ran it for 9 years. And we got amazing results. Like, thousands of entrepreneurs went through it, generated a lot of revenue for my business, but made a huge impact for a lot of small business owners. But one of the sticking points for me, and this is one of the hardest things about going from being a hands-on in-person consultant to an online consultant, is sometimes I would see people with so much potential and they couldn't get out of their own way. And it wasn't until we launched this event that we've been talking about, that we had to pivot, the CEO retreat, that I started seeing some dots connect for me. And I realized that at the CEO retreat, where all we do is help people design 90-day plans. So we're helping them do the strategic planning, actually project manage that plan, figure out what the action steps are. What we were really able to do is put blinders on, and they started treating information differently. As they were figuring out how to implement the plan, they weren't saying, well, first I need to get a PhD in this particular thing. They were saying, I just need to know how to do this piece. How do I do that? And they were going from just in case information to just in time information. It was
hold on. Say that again.
They were going from just in case, which also is buying a ton of online courses that they never completed, having a Dropbox folder full of checklists and cheat sheets and, trainings, having a lot of books that they never finished reading. And then they would feel guilty and crappy that they didn't do any of those things because they felt like they had to be perfect. I was seeing people who were like, I don't need the whole book. I need this chapter. I don't need the whole training. I need this checklist. I don't need the whole thing. I need this piece. And for me, watching how people were responding was really powerful. So we did, after the first year of running the CEO retreat, which was 2018, I flew my whole team in to spend a weekend with me here in Richmond, Virginia. And my team is spread across the country. So this was a big deal. This is actually the first time we'd had like a 3-day team retreat to plan out. We decided we would launch the planner, which is back there. Our first product. Right here. Yeah, we launched the planner because we were teaching the strategy and people were saying, I'm literally printing out this one sheet again and again. And I was like, we just need to make a planner. So we launched that, and then it hit me like, we need to stop treating the course the way we were treating it. Instead, we need to go consulting first, course secondary. So the CEO Collective is truly my next, like, to me, this is my legacy work. I have a huge passion for women in business. I truly believe women in business are going to change the world. We are the ones, like, this paradigm shift that is coming, that we are in right now. Women are going to be the ones to make it a healthier world, a happier world, a more connected world. And those are the women that I'm working with. So I started seeing this shift happen in our retreats and our events. And I was like, whoa, we need to lead with the consulting first, with the strategy first, and help them get those blinders on to figure out the how in a more manageable way so they can stay focused on implementation. So the CEO Collective, we did push back our launch. You're asking how we were impacted. We were supposed to be opening and closing that before April 1st because we wanted to kick off Q2, but we pressed pause because of pandemic for a week. And then we opened the doors for our first founding members. And today is actually our final day for our founding members. This is a 12-month experience to give you the consulting, the mentorship, a mastermind to help you really get laser focused on where you want to go. And we as a team, my team, are there to help you figure out the how so that you can stay focused on being in implementation mode instead of being in information overload. Yeah.
It's so exciting. I mean, I feel like I've had most of the experiences now, which is great. I've been to the CEO retreat. I haven't done it virtually before. I'll have to do that next time. But it's funny, I like love it and hate it at the same time. Like, I love it because I get to leave with like this really clear plan of action. And then I hate it because like I have to do it then versus like still be in my head about stuff. So there's like already accountability because you had to write it down. But I think what I find so helpful is a lot of the business owners that you work with, they're super smart people. Like
so smart.
They can do strategy even. It's just when it's your business, your emotions get in the way. Like, I don't care how successful you are or how much you've achieved.
Yeah.
Always your emotions get in the way. And I think that's like the big thing that you deliver that you don't really deliver because people don't know that that's the problem that they have. Yeah. But that's been the experience that I've personally had when working through a planning session or going into any of your mastermind groups. Is like, I know what to do. I'm just worried about it to the point that it makes me not able to do what I need to do.
One of the most powerful things I found facilitating mastermind groups is it's not even just me. It is exactly what you're saying. It's the fact that we all need other people's eyes on our business. And if we're trying to operate in a silo, it's really easy to second guess ourselves, to hold ourselves back, to talk ourselves out of the exact steps that will get us where we want to go because they're scary and they're pushing us up against our edge, right? But I mean, there have been so many conversations that we have with our clients where I'm just sitting back watching the conversations and watching someone from across the table at a CEO retreat say, oh, you're way undercharging. You need to raise your prices. Or, oh, I know exactly how to do that thing. Let me connect you with so-and-so. And that's really where the magic happens. If you think about bigger organizations, they do not operate alone. Those even the top level CEOs do not operate alone. They have a board of advisors who are showing up and looking at their plan and saying, what are you doing there? Have you heard about this? Have you thought about that? They are guiding them. So for small business owners who are trying to muscle through it and do it alone, they're really making it way harder than it needs to be. Because if you can get in a room with other smart people who see you and who see how powerful you are, you can get so much further because they help give you that little nudge that you need to get out of your own way.
That's why I love the team that I have with Rebelle so much, because they for sure are that for me often when I'm like getting all worked up and I need just solid clarity.
Yeah.
Well, I want to open it up for questions if anyone has them. You can pop them in the chat or pop them down at the bottom. There's a button that says ask a question. And then while people are kind of trying to think of their questions, I will ask you another one, because I have, like I said, I've had this experience. So I know you work with some business owners that have some really fascinating niches. I know there are a bunch of people here that are business owners, but I see a handful of people also who work for another company, but maybe they've had entrepreneurship on the mind.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the like really out there niches of like businesses that you've seen be successful? I love to like talk about funny businesses.
So one of my favorites is Hannah Brannigan, who is in the mastermind with you.
Oh my God, she's so funny.
She's amazing. So Hannah has a business called Wonder Pups Training. She is a professional dog trainer, but she doesn't just teach your dog to not pee in the house. She is like the equivalent of Olympic athlete coach for dogs who do agility competition.
It's so specific. It's crazy.
So specific. But I remember when she came to work with me, she was like, have you ever worked with someone like me? And I'm like, no, but let's do it. And what I really loved was I could tell her personality and her passion were there. Oh and so we realized like she could go from teaching in person, which she had mostly been doing, to offering online courses and creating something that got a result for other people. And in her niche, everybody wants that blue ribbon. Everybody wants to win their first competition. And so we designed a whole course around that and launched a podcast called Drinking from the Toilet.
So funny.
Which is so full of personality. It's just a great example of like pulling in your personality, because that's why her people love her. They love her for her personality. They love her for the results. And we just found that awesome, magic mix of that. So she was a great example of like kind of obscure niche, but it's been amazing. I actually just enrolled someone in the CEO Collective who's coming on as a founding member, who's worked with me in the past, who's a professional oboist. An oboe, it's kind of like a clarinet, but smaller, has 2 reeds. She's a professional oboist and had an entire business, not only as a professional musician, but as a reed maker. So she actually makes like hand shaves reeds for other oboists. And she realized that one opportunity for her is that there's not many professional oboists out there. And there's a lot of people who want to learn from a professional oboist. And I understood this because I have a background in music. I actually have another degree in French horn performance, for anybody who wants an obscure fun fact about me.
I played the trumpet.
See?
Who knew? We were both in brass.
You're the missing part of our brass band, because Jameson played trombone. So
Crystal played the French horn too. Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
It's incredible, right? So my client, who's a professional oboist, makes reeds, realized that a lot of people out there who didn't go in the professional route, who were older adults, were interested in picking up the oboe again. So she created a whole 10-week program that was just about learning how to play oboe again. So you could go join your local wind ensemble or your local orchestra or whatever your local community group was, because it's such a kind of unique instrument. Usually you can't get lessons from an oboist unless you happen to live in a major city. Right?
And you have, right, like however many orchestras there are, there's probably 3 oboists in that orchestra. And if none of them teach, then you got nothing.
None of them teach. And I told her, and I totally got it, because I have a background in music. I remember in the 90s when I wanted to go take a lesson, I had to drive 2 hours to the nearest French horn teacher. So I got it. I was like, this
That's incredible to me that I mean, I'm not surprised by that because of your dedication to becoming excellent at something that would not deter you.
So apparently Crystal and Polly and I need to form like a French horn trio.
Isn't that so odd? How often do you meet that many people in one room that have played the French horn of all instruments?
Okay.
So crazy. All right, Brooke has a question. Do you work with entrepreneurs who are researching their first product service, feedback for pivot because of this new environment?
Yeah.
Although I have to make a comment real quick. Polly says she was never very good at the French horn, but I have this feeling that Polly's expectations are super high, and unless she was in a professional orchestra, she's going to say that she wasn't good at it. Polly, I'm calling you out. Sorry.
Well, no worries. I haven't picked mine up in about 15 years, so
I don't even know
I
what my
have for my
trumpet is.
kids, but it's not good right now. I'll just say that. Okay, so about entrepreneurs researching your first product service, yes. I mean, we definitely have worked with everything from very startup stage all the way through scaling to 7 and 8 figures. The process is still very much the same, whether you're launching a new business from scratch or you're launching a new product or offer right now. And right now, I've got a lot of clients who are making a pivot. They're making a shift because what was being available, working in person or whatever, it's just changed. So we have to kind of almost retest. It's almost like having a startup within your business. So we do a lot of startup businesses. I would recommend checking out the Business Growth Checklist. I have a great blog post on how to get started and starting there. If you have any other questions, just let me know.
Yeah. So what are the characteristics of like the ideal founding member of the CEO Collective? Like, are there certain criteria that you're looking for the person that's going to get like the best experience there?
Okay, so what I am looking for founding members, one is just really passionate women entrepreneurs who really believe in the vision of their business and who really want to make an impact, because that is what collectively drives me and so many of the women that I support. The second thing is it's not so much about like how big your business is, but that you are willing to take imperfect action. You're willing to choose courage over comfort. You're willing to be coachable. Because one of my random talents is holding people accountable and making them focus on doing the thing, even if they don't want to.
You are very good at that.
So yeah, so that's the thing. If you're wanting something, an experience that will help you stay focused and take action and implement like crazy, we have built in the accountability and the blinders to keep you focused so that you can keep moving forward.
I like it. I like it. All right. Any other questions for Rach? I'm sure I have plenty, but I might have to just, we might just have to have our own online date so I can ask you all the other ones. But, well, then I just want to end with this. I know people are all very feeling uncertain, and thinking and planning for the future can be, I think, overwhelming right now, but I still find it a very valuable practice for myself to think about the future in a positive way. Is there anything that you are like really looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to other people being gone from my house, because this is my zone. I love being at home. I'm a complete introvert, but all the memes talking about how introverts are in their element, that does not include other people being here. Right. So I'm looking forward to that. Honestly, I'm looking forward to a lot. I can't help but be optimistic about the future right now. I'm somebody who sees the opportunity first. And right now, I see that we are in the middle of a big paradigm shift. I see that we are a society who did not value health, who did not value slowing down, who did not value connection, who did not value people first. And right now, what we are seeing is this is forcing all of those things to rise to the surface. I'm predicting that a lot of the work that we all do is going to become even more relevant and valuable. If you were having a hard time getting across the value of what you were doing, but it did drive connection, it did drive purpose, it did drive, people really doing more of what they really want to do with their lives, you're going to see a lot of people who are having that really hard, come to Jesus moment with themselves where they're like, oh, I really need to take my life seriously. Because this is it. This is the one we got. This is not a dress rehearsal. Like, this is what we have to work with. So I anticipate that we're going to see a lot more people stepping into their purpose. And that just, to me, is so much opportunity for the entrepreneurs I work with, because that's what they're here to do. They're here to help people live with more purpose, with more mission, with more connection, with more intention. And I'm really, really excited for that, because even though it might seem like we're still in the storm, wind is still blowing, it hasn't quite passed over yet. But when it settles, I think those priorities are going to become even more clear for all of the communities that we serve.
Yeah. I feel like I just asked you that because I needed that validation for myself. Yes. So thank you. And just thank you in general. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you're doing. And I know you put a link here for anyone that wants to find more information about how to work with you. And we will also share in the Rebelle Community Facebook group information about the CEO Collective and how to get in touch to find out more. I sincerely hope I get to see you very, very soon, Racheal Cook. Thank you for being here.
Well, and I'm here in Richmond, so you guys can always find me at a Rebelle event when we're back in person.
Soon. All right. Thank you all for being here. And like I said, I'm going to save this recording for our members to replay when we open the doors to our new online home. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.